What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Girl Who Talks Sports with me, Sam Cardona, and thank you guys all for listening and or watching today. So, again, I will continuously say this. We are on YouTube. You can watch the entire podcast recording on YouTube, and I've been putting up videos every Wednesday along with the episode that is getting put up of a review of the Hard Knocks episode from that week. Says I record on Tuesdays, so Hard Knocks comes on Tuesday nights, and I don't want to include it in the episode because by that point the podcast has already been edited and put together and scheduled for publish. So I started putting it out on YouTube, so you can watch the Hard Knocks reviews on YouTube as well, which come out the same day on Wednesdays, usually later in the afternoon after the podcast has been published. So just a quick update for you guys. There will be no new episode next week, but there will be a Hard Knocks video. I'm just not going to have the time next week to put and publish together an entire podcast episode, but there will be a Hard Knocks episode on YouTube next week. So you can look out for that. And hopefully that will hold you guys off for the following week when I come back and put out a new episode. So, as usual, don't forget to follow and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Subscribe on the YouTube channel, which is The Girl Who Talks Sports. And you can like the videos, comment on the videos, any of that good stuff. Same with leaving an Apple iTunes review or review on any sort of application in which you listen to a podcast. All feedback is welcome, and you can follow the podcast on Twitter at TGWTS Podcast. And I believe that's it. If you're watching on YouTube, please don't make fun of me. I'm wearing my Baker Mayfield shirt today, one of the many Baker Mayfield shirts that I own. I have about 5 shirts related to Baker Mayfield, I believe. He is just like one of my favorite people in the world. I like him a lot. I'm not a Browns fan because as of right now I'm wearing Cleveland Browns t-shirt jersey. But I'm not a Cleveland Browns fan. I am a Baker Mayfield fan. I could tell you the exact moment that I was a Baker Mayfield fan, actually. When he took the Oklahoma Sooners the Oklahoma Sooners flag and planted it on top of the Ohio State Buckeyes logo in the middle of the field, because I hate Ohio State. And when he did that, I was like, oh my God, is he going into the draft this year? Oh my God, I love him. He is my favorite person. And of course, people are going to have their thoughts about them, about him and his things that he does. Coward. But but I like Baker Mayfield a lot, so I'm wearing his number today, number 6. Anyway, let's get into today's episode. So we have some interesting stuff to talk about, and to start off this week's episode is going to be some more COVID-related stuff. I don't know if you guys are super sick of this or if you don't care or whatever it is. But as someone with a platform, I think that it is very important for me to kind of throw this stuff out there to, I guess, just spread the word, educate, inform, all that stuff. I just feel like it's kind of people with platforms' responsibility to say things. So this is about COVID stuff. And this is kind of like a PSA. And half of a story, half of a PSA. Usain Bolt, who is the fastest man on the planet, literally the fastest person in the world, has won like 8 Olympic medals, I'm pretty sure. So he was in the news recently because he had a 34th birthday party and there were a lot of people there. Nobody was wearing a mask, and it was very much so people were patronizing it, or not patronizing, but what's the word? Not making fun, but basically, I can't formulate words. Oh my God. They were mad at Usain Bolt for having a birthday party without masks. So, lo and behold, weeks have gone by. Usain Bolt has coronavirus. And this just goes to show that it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you're from, as long as you love me, as the Backstreet Boys say. Anyway, yeah, anybody can get coronavirus, all right? Anybody can get coronavirus. It doesn't matter what you're doing or if you think that you're safe with someone or anything along those lines. This guy and he's an athlete, he's healthy, he's completely in shape, and yet Usain Bolt is still someone who's gotten coronavirus. I don't know what his health state is like right now. I don't know if he's asymptomatic or if he's bedridden or what, but it just goes to show, literally just wear your mask, wash your hands, and social distance. That's all you have to do. It's really not that hard at all. With everything going on right now, colleges starting back up, I have seen so many colleges who have been there for less than 2 weeks already have to close down because these college kids are just going out, licking poles, licking each other, I don't know. And they already have, University of Alabama already has over 500 cases. It's not fake. It's not fake. I promise you. Coronavirus is a real thing. So please, please be safe. And the faster we get rid of this, the faster we can return to so-called normal. It's just, that's what's going to happen. And if you guys keep doing everything that you're doing, I'm not saying all of you people that are listening, I'm talking about people in general who are just out there doing whatever they feel like doing, it's not going to go away. So I just had to throw that out there to you guys. Make sure that everyone is being safe, wearing a mask, all that good stuff. Also, wearing a mask consists of wearing it above your nose. Putting your mask below your nose it's not completely wearing a mask. You could still get sick and you could still transfer germs to someone else. Over your nose and over your mouth is how you wear a mask. Also, neck gaiters, which are those things that go around your neck that you can pull up over your face. Depending on what kind of fabric is being used with those things, some of them do not constitute as a mask. And in fact, it could probably be worse, and you could probably catch it even more if you're not wearing a mask. I'm on a soapbox right now, and I'm yelling about a bunch of stuff, but this is my outlet. This is therapeutic to me. You know what's really great about having a podcast and not having anybody else on the podcast? No one can interrupt you. No one can stop you from saying what you're saying, which is both very good and very bad. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there and make sure everybody is doing what they have to do and that even the fastest man in the world can get coronavirus. So that is that with that. So that is our coronavirus talk, but we are going to continue talking about coronavirus for a quick second. So the NFL had a bit of a problem, I would say, but it turns out that everything is okay. But it's a big scare. So basically, there were a bunch of tests that went out over the weekend, and 77 of these tests came back positive. It affected a lot of teams. Bears, Browns, Bills, Jets, Steelers, Vikings, Packers, Patriots, Giants, and Lions. A lot of people, like 77 players from these teams, got false positives. But a positive, whether it's false or not, is still a positive, which can instill fear in you and scare you for safety of yourself, safety of others. So a lot of these players were a little nervous, staff, coaches, and they did not know if these were false positives or real positives. So they sent the tests back to get retested. And they all came out of this same lab in New Jersey. So it's very, very possible, odds are probably exactly what happened was a lot of tests got contaminated in some sort of way, which made the tests come back as positive. But like Josh Allen was one of the people that came back as positive. Kevin Stefanski, who is the new Browns head coach, came back as positive. So it's scary. It can be really scary. And of course, let's just say, for funsies, all of these false positives were actually real positives. It's very scary to think about an outbreak happening, especially with these very, very large teams. And, I mean, for this specific lab, it seems like mostly it was like the East Coast and part of the, I guess you would say, the Mid-East. Why is there a Midwest and not a Mid-East? That just occurred to me. It really did. Like Ohio and Michigan, right, would be considered like the Mid-East. But why do we have the Midwest? Because it's not completely west. You know, like New Mexico would be like Midwest. Kansas. Anyway, I digress. As you can see, my brain is all over the place today, and I cannot speak, and I'm absolutely just crazy. So, obviously, again, if these tests were actually positive, this would have been a really big problem for the NFL, and I think that having them be false positives and all of them coming back after being retested as negatives, which thank God that none of these people were actually sick, this made a lot of people nervous, and I think they are now putting together like a very strategic plan on what to do if there is an outbreak, which is really good, especially because kickoff is in like 2 weeks. Kickoff is in 2 weeks. We're getting football back in 2 weeks. So hopefully this all works out and we don't have a shortened football season. But I believe we spoke about this before when the MLB was struggling, that they didn't have a contingency plan. They just were like, no, it's going to be fine. We'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. So this little scare was probably the best thing that could happen for the NFL, because now they're putting together a plan to make sure that everybody's going to be safe. It's going to be the best possible situation for everyone, and that, God forbid, there is some sort of outbreak, there will be a plan in place in order for people to follow, protocol to be followed, so on and so forth. So that's really great, and I think the cold months are going to be a bit of a struggle, but hopefully with the way the NFL is handling all this, I mean, and we've seen it on Hard Knocks with the way that the Rams and the Chargers are doing things. I mean, they're cleansing and cleaning and wearing masks and social distancing and wearing the beepers that beep if you're too close to somebody else, that maybe, just maybe, this will work out and we'll be able to have an entire football season. So, like I said, kickoff is Thursday, September 10th. We're seeing the Chiefs versus Houston, which is going to be a good game, I hope. I mean, we got Patty Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, J.J. Watt, Travis Kelce, I almost said George Kittle. He's not on the Chiefs. You know, all these guys, and I'm so, so excited to see this happen. Again, I hope that as much as I want football to happen, if things start to get unsafe, you know, it can't go on, and I'm very understanding of that. But it is what it is. So that is what's going on COVID related, and I believe that is all the COVID stuff that we have to talk about today. So let's get into our first segment on the show, and my favorite segment on the show, Tea Time. Tea Time is my favorite segment on the show because we delve into the hot, steamy gossip of the sports world, and this week, we have a return guest, people. We have a return Tea Time guest. And to be honest, last time we did Tea Time on this guy, it was a doozy. It was like spicy chai tea. That it was incredible. So, we are going to discuss Earl Thomas today. So, if you don't remember our tea time from May, I believe it was, Earl Thomas, to sum it all up, Earl Thomas was cheating on his wife, and she found out, went to the place where he was currently cheating on her with a woman and his brother, and pointed a gun at his head. So that tea time was something else. It was crazy. But now he has returned with more things happening. Not as crazy. I wouldn't say there was a gun involved, but physical altercation is involved. So, if you haven't heard, on Friday afternoon, Earl Thomas was in a fight with his teammate, Chuck Clark. And they're two defensive guys. Apparently what happened was during their training camp, during their practice, there was a play happening with the offense and the defense, obviously. And Earl Thomas did not do what he was supposed to do on this defensive play. Apparently he blitzed when he wasn't supposed to, and the offense was able to capitalize off of this and complete a pass, complete a play. And Chuck Clark was really upset that he didn't do what he was supposed to, ripped his helmet off. There is a deleted video. Earl Thomas posted a video, but it was then deleted of this whole play. And so Chuck Clark pulls his helmet off and started yelling at Earl Thomas about I guess that he didn't do what he was supposed to do. And then started yelling at each other and yada yada yada. And allegedly, Earl Thomas punched him in the face. So now we say allegedly because there is no proof that he was actually punched in the face. People are just kind of throwing that out there, I suppose. But there was, obviously, that's not a great dynamic to have between teammates. And for whatever way that their coaches and their staff saw the altercation, Earl Thomas was the person who was sent home. And Saturday rolled around and Chuck Clark was at practice on Saturday, but no Earl Thomas. And then it came out that this is the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens have terminated Earl Thomas's contract, and he is no longer a Baltimore Raven. So he was only on the team for a year out of the 4 that he was supposed to play with them. And the reason for terminating his contract is for, quote, personal conduct that has adversely affected the Baltimore Ravens. So maybe things have happened in the past where they were like, questionable about the way he treats his teammates, the way he treats other people. Then this whole thing with his wife comes out, and that's a little we don't really know what his, I don't want to say personality, but his mindset is like. So maybe the Ravens were questioning getting rid of him to begin with. I mean, they probably didn't because of how good of a safety that he is. But this seemed to be the last straw, and that punching your teammate, allegedly, in the face or wherever, is where they will just cut you from the team. So they released him, and then Earl Thomas had gone to Instagram. He is very good at posting on Instagram and then deleting it. So, like I said, he posted a video of the play in which Chuck Clark pulls his helmet off, and then he deleted that. Then he posted a very nice message, actually, almost like an apology about him being, saying thank you and wishing things had gone differently and so on and so forth. Then that was deleted. And then he posted another thing about how mad he was. I'm not sure if that has been deleted or not. I don't think it has, but I could be wrong. So it's just a whirlwind of crazy, honestly. And from this past year, Earl Thomas has made about $22 million with the Ravens, and he's supposed to get $10 million of that guaranteed money, like that just from signing and everything. But it's possible that the Ravens are not going to, or say that they're not going to give it to him, and then there will probably be an appeal, and then he'll get the money anyway. But Ravens saying that they're not going to give him that guaranteed money is just a statement to say, this is how we feel about him. And then there's the thought, Earl Thomas is not a shabby defensive player. He has a Super Bowl ring. He is like 7-time Pro Bowl guy when this was all when he was on the Seahawks. He's an excellent defensive player. We got to give him that. But obviously then there's this all other section of him. But then obviously there are talks of people saying, well, if you released him, maybe you can't handle him, but maybe we can. And the Cowboys were in the mix with all this. And I've seen so many different things about the Cowboys and Earl Thomas. So first I saw that they were looking into him and everything like that. Then I see a post about the Cowboys not being interested anymore on Twitter. And then I see another post from Jerry Jones saying that he doesn't know what the media is talking about and that they are still thinking about it. So, who knows at this point? It is just a lot of information, a lot of hustle and bustle going on. We're not entirely sure what's going on. But as of right now, Earl Thomas is not on the Cowboys. He is not on any team. But it's possible that maybe before the season starts in the next 2 weeks, he gets picked up by someone. Maybe? Because again, it's the people might just overlook everything that has happened and sign him to the team because he is a darn good safety. But again, maybe people are not, it's 2 weeks until kickoff. Maybe they don't want to deal with a new guy. I don't know. It's very interesting. Very interesting stuff going on right now. So that's the tea. That's the tea for this week, Earl Thomas. I think that over the years here, we've had Le'Veon Bell was someone who was often in the mix here. Antonio Brown has often been in the mix. The Steelers in general have often been in the mix of tea time. Now we got Earl Thomas here, so we have an array of repeated people here. I mean, last year with Antonio Brown and the Raiders and Hard Knocks and leaving the Steelers and saying that AB was never his friend, and the helmet situation was like a whole other thing, and then his weird feet with the cryotherapy. Oh my god. That whole situation. I think as of right now, Antonio Brown is the king of tea time. But Le'Veon Bell and Earl Thomas are fighting for that second slot. Le'Veon Bell's been pretty quiet though recently. I think he just wants to play football and play for the Jets and go 6-11. I don't know. Alright, so that's the tea for this week. We are going to move on to, I guess you could say this is a little tea time extension. But, oh my god. This was crazy. This happened, I think, last Wednesday, so it's a little bit late news, but I'd already put out the episode. So this has to do with a guy named Thom Brennaman. And if you guys recognize the name, you know where I'm going with this. But if you haven't heard, I will explain to you. So Thom Brennaman was an announcer for the Cincinnati Reds. He is no longer for the MLB. What happened was he was doing his job. He was in the broadcasting booth and they were on their commercial break. The mics went hot, which means that the mics are on and can be heard by the audience at home. And without knowing his mic was hot, he must have been finishing up a sentence and used a homophobic slur that starts with the letter F. And a lot of people heard it, and it was not good, and a lot of people were calling him out for it. Obviously, it is an awful thing to do, an awful thing to say, and a really awful thing to say on television for everyone to hear. So, in terms of time, this was game 1 of a series between the Reds and the Royals. They were having a doubleheader, so this first game was in the morning. He did that entire game. Nothing was ever mentioned about the word that he said. He just went on through the entire game. Then, by the time game 2 came around, for the second half of their doubleheader, it wasn't until the 5th inning of that game in which Thom Brennaman was then, I guess, scheduled to make an apology for saying that word. Now, you would say, okay, So he apologizes, he gets flack, da-da-da-da. But no, his apology was something else. And it blew up on Twitter. People were freaking out. I feel like people were freaking out more about his apology than him actually saying the word. So what happened was there was a home run hit in the middle of his apology. You know what? I'm going to play you his apology, and so you can just hear for yourself how it sounds from him.
I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith. As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game. I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again.
So there you go. There is Thom Brennaman sharing his play-by-play of Dave Castellanos' home run in the middle of him giving his apology. So, not great. Really not. Like, if you're in the middle of doing something and apologizing for something that you said that was homophobic and it was detrimental to other people for hearing it, it's not a word that you should be saying at all. And he decides to do a play-by-play of the home run in the middle of the apology. I was like, oh no, not good at all. So, he's been suspended indefinitely from broadcasting for the Reds, as well as Fox Sports has told him that he's not going to be doing any of the NFL games this year. So it does not have to do just with the fact that he said the word. It also has to do with the fact that obviously the apology was not from the heart, and he did not even try and mean it because he thought David Castellanos' home run was more important in the middle of it than saying that. So that in and of itself, which I was like, wait a second, did he actually just stop apologizing to call a home run? Like, just if you're in the middle of an apology, just apologize. Forget everything else that's going on. And there were some other times where he has said maybe some questionable things on air. Back in 2002, he said that certain players should be benched. And people were like, why are you talking about a player being benched? Like, you have nothing, that has nothing to do with you. You're just announcing the game. So he said he was sorry for, like, about saying that a player should be benched, which obviously isn't as close to this. But he had also, in 2006, made fun of a Mets fan who was wearing a certain device on his face because his vision was very detrimented, and he made fun of him for the device that he was wearing on his face to be able to see, which is not great. So obviously this is probably the worst thing that he's done, but making fun of people or telling people what to do in the past is not fantastic either. And, but what had eventually then happened later on is that he then came back on TV to then apologize for his botched apology. And I think that is absolutely just, it's just awful, really. Like, come on, man. Just apologize. Whether you mean it or not at that point, people are just going to take it for what it is. And whether they want to forgive you or not is up to them. But you offering an apology that does not have to do with a player hitting a home run, that would be the best type of apology to throw out there, even if you don't mean it. So when that happened, it was just so crazy. It was so wild that people were literally like, oh my god, this guy was on TV, said a homophobic slur, and then decided to literally call a play-by-play in the middle of the apology. So, actually, I have the apology on my phone, like the full thing, since I only played you a snippet. So, let me see where we have here. Yeah, look at that. So I stopped that after I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again. I don't know if it's going to be for the Reds. I don't know if it's going to be for my bosses at Fox. I want to apologize for the people who signed my paycheck. He wants to apologize to the people who signed his paycheck, not for the things that he says. For the Reds, for Fox Sports Ohio, for the people I work with, for anybody that I've offended here tonight. I can't begin to tell you how deeply sorry I am. That is not who I am. It never has been, and I'd like to think maybe I could have some people that could back that up. I'm very, very sorry, and I beg for your forgiveness. I think that the fact that you didn't apologize directly to the people who you offended and you first apologized to the people that signed your paycheck is, I think that just goes to show what kind of guy Thom Brennaman is. So that is, the end of that. We're going to do one more story, which is a little bittersweet, and then we'll finish up with the rest of our segments for today's show. So our bittersweet story that I wanted to mention about is about Ron Rivera, and unfortunately, Ron Rivera has recently been diagnosed with cancer. It is squamous cell carcinoma in a lymph node, which is, I guess, the medical term for all that. But basically, it's lymph node cancer, and it is, in his case, a type of skin cancer. And he had a lump in his neck back in July that he decided to get checked out, and it came back in a biopsy as cancerous. So, while it sucks, obviously, that Ron Rivera has cancer, it is really awful because Ron Rivera seems like an excellent person. He said that it is in very early stages, it is very treatable and very curable, and he will continue to coach. So, seems like really an incredible person. The fact that he just decided, I'm not going to let this overtake my life. It is something that is going to go away, and I'm going to continue living my life the way that I have been living it even before all this, which is, very brave, courageous. But they do have a plan B. In the case that, God forbid, Ron Rivera cannot coach the Washington football team anymore, their backup is going to be their defensive coordinator, Jack Del Rio, who we haven't seen head coach in a while. Last time we saw him head coaching, he was on the Raiders, and before that he also was the Jaguars coach, I believe. So he is apparently the only person on their staff that has head coaching experience, so he would be the person that takes Ron Rivera's spot if it need be. But as of right now, Ron Rivera has made it a point that he says, I am going to make sure that I'm living my life normally and doing whatever I have to do. I'm not going to let this overtake me. According to the article that I read, he is going to be getting 5 treatments per week for 7 weeks, and he's going to be doing it obviously during the week. It's not going to be happening on Sundays. So he is going to make it a point to be able to balance both football and cancer treatments, and that is something really just amazing. When I found out, I had my friend Jordan, who I used to work with, she texted me and told me, and we were just devastated. I was like, oh my God, please just just tell me that this is something that can be dealt with and treated. And it seems that Ron Rivera says that it is, and he's going to, like I said, get treatment and continue coaching the Washington football team. He's also been a big advocate for pancreatic cancer and pancreatic cancer research because his brother Mickey had pancreatic cancer, and he passed away in 2015. So he has, he's no stranger to it, and the obviously very awful things that coincide with it. But he has always been a big advocate for that, and he he's going to do his thing. So I am wishing him the absolute best. I hope that the treatment works and that everything works out well for him. I would be so sad if Ron Rivera was just, I can't even think about it. So I'm praying for him. I'm making sure that he is able to recover and be cured of this. And I wanted to mention it on here just because it's something that we just, need to know about. And again, I hope you all send some positive vibes Coach Ron Rivera's way, and hopefully he'll be comfortable through this treatment and come out on the other side all good to go. So that is our bittersweet story. I didn't mean to bring the mood down a little bit. But let's get into our segments for today's show. Yay! So we are going to go into our Let's Talk About It segment. And this week, our Let's Talk About It segment has nothing to do with sports. But it's something that I would just want to mention. I won't go on for long. But this week, on Let's Talk About It, we are going to talk about pumpkin spice. So we're going to talk about pumpkin spice because both Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks are coming back quite early. We're just about to hit September, and pumpkin spice is already coming back. Usually this is a fall, October thing, but it's coming back earlier this year, probably to increase our serotonin levels. So what I want to mention, first of all, is that yes, I am a blonde white girl, and I love pumpkin spice. Pumpkin spice is delicious. And if you say you don't like pumpkin spice because you think it's gross, I respect your taste buds, like whatever. But people that come out and say that pumpkin spice is basic and they don't like it because it's like too mainstream or whatever it is, like, grow up. Grow up. If you like pumpkin spice, then drink it or eat it or anything. I don't care. Like, if a guy is walking around with a pumpkin spice latte, I'm not going to think any different of him. It is delicious. I don't understand why people make it such a point to hate on it. It really is good, and it's cozy, and it reminds you of fall, and spooky season, and Halloween, and everything like that, and Thanksgiving, and the holidays are coming up, and that should bring you joy. Pumpkin spice should bring you joy. I hate when people are like, well, pumpkin spice is like super basic, and people are going to look at me, if you're watching the YouTube video, you see like the color of my hair and the color of my skin. They're going to be like, oh, you're like some blonde white girl who just loves pumpkin spice. Yeah. Congrats for pointing out the obvious. I am. And I am proud of it. Okay? So if you like pumpkin spice, if you're a man, a woman, neither, whatever, I don't care who you are. If you like pumpkin spice, then like pumpkin spice. Drink your pumpkin spice. Snapchat your pumpkin spice. Put it on your Instagram story. Put it on your Twitter. Flaunt it to everybody. Walk into work and say, hey guys, I got my pumpkin spice today. Who cares? Who cares? Enjoy what you want to enjoy. If you want to drink it, eat it. Pumpkin donuts and pumpkin muffins, oh my god, they are so good. They are delicious. I love them. Pumpkin spice macchiatos, inject it into my bloodstream. They are delicious. They are so good. That's all I want to say. I know that that's just like a random rant. I couldn't find anything to put in our Let's Talk About It segment this week. I just wanted to throw it out there. So, I love pumpkin spice. If you love pumpkin spice, good for you. If you don't like pumpkin spice because you don't like the taste, that's fine. But if you say that you don't like pumpkin spice because you think it's too basic, then I think you need to grow up and drink a pumpkin spice latte. So, there you go. Alrighty. Let's get into our tweet of the week. Tweet of the week this week. Let me just tell you, I had to search hard, far, long, everywhere, short. I could not find a tweet worthy enough of our tweet of the week this week, but I did find one that is decent. It's decent, and it comes from somebody from the New England Patriots, which, again, I had this one. I was trying to find another one, but it didn't work. So this is our tweet of the week this week. It's more of a confusion tweet of the week than like a solid tweet of the week, but it comes from Julian Edelman, who is the wide receiver on the New England Patriots. And obviously the New England Patriots are canvassing their new quarterback, Cam Newton. So Julian Edelman posted this tweet. He said, "The night is darkest just before the dawn, and I promise you the dawn is coming." And it is a photoshopped picture of him and Cam Newton in a Superman and a Batman costume with the New England Patriots sign in the background in the sky, like the bat symbol. I wish someone would explain this to me. I don't understand what this means. I get Superman and Cam and all that stuff, but like, dude, are you trying to be intimidating? Are you trying to like scare everybody? Because first of all, this Photoshop is not cute. You do not look good on top of this Batman costume. Let me just say real quick though, I mean, I'm not a New England Patriots fan by any means, but I watched the Julian Edelman documentary like last year. It is very good, and I give the guy a lot of credit. He's a hard worker, and he's really good at doing his stuff and everything like that. So, again, I give him props in terms of his football skills and everything like that. But, like, why? Why is this a thing? Why are we... I mean, guess because the new Batman trailer came out? Like, he wanted to throw this in the mix? I'm not entirely sure. But, anyway, that's our tweet of the week this week. Congrats, Julian Edelman. You made the pod. Finally, we have our feel-good story of the week this week. And I would say that this is a bittersweet feel-good story. So, on the 23rd of August, it was would have been Kobe Bryant's 42nd birthday. And obviously that is very sad, and we miss Kobe a lot, and he kind of, his death sparked off this awful year. It was just like so sucky back in January or February. So his birthday was this weekend. 8/24, which was Monday, is the Kobe Bryant day because he had two numbers in the NBA, 8 and 24. And then last night on 8/24, the Lakers and the Trailblazers were versing one another in the NBA playoffs. And the score ended up being at one point 24 Lakers to 8 Trailblazers. And LeBron made it a point to mention, like, I feel like that was a symbol of him being in the house that night and watching over them and watching them play in the playoffs, which is very sweet. It's a very sweet thought. And then the Lakers ended up winning that game, so they won that playoff game. And that's just, he kind of was like, yeah, Kobe was there. I could feel it. He was watching over us. And that's like a very comforting thing, especially when, those certain symbols or numbers are there to represent that person. And it was just very nice. And I saw that on Instagram, and I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And we miss Kobe a lot. Kobe, I miss him. I never knew him, but man, he was a fantastic person. Anyway, so again, it's a bittersweet feel-good story, but that is our feel-good story of the week this week, and that is the end of our podcast. So, thank you guys all for listening and or watching, and, again, don't forget to follow and subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, follow, the podcast on Twitter, TGWTS Podcast. Leave a review, whatever. Anything is wonderful to me, and I appreciate you all for people who do that. Oh, and then you can subscribe on YouTube, like this video, comments, all that good stuff. And yeah. Oh, and then don't forget next week there will not be a new podcast episode, but there will be a new Hard Knocks video out next week. And If you're watching this on YouTube right now or listening to it on Wednesday, the YouTube video for Hard Knocks' episode 3 should be up, and if it's not, it will be up later today, Wednesday the 26th. So, I appreciate you guys all for listening. I hope you all have a fun, fantastic sports-filled day. And don't forget to be safe, wear a mask, sanitize, social distance, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys all in 2 weeks. Bye!